This is John Koler with GrowingYourGreens.com. I have another exciting episode for you, and this was not too exciting when I first heard about it, but hopefully it's going to help you guys out if something like this should ever happen to you. So what happened is, as you guys saw last couple episodes, I was actually in Houston, Texas, down there on a little short vacation, filming a couple episodes, getting people more people to grow food, start composting, and sharing some cool, exciting information, especially like about those avocados, the cold hardy avocados with you guys. So anyways, my flight got in late last night, and I get home only to find out my friend who's currently staying with me found out that she told me that about 8 o'clock last night, and I got home about midnight, there were some people knocking on the door, and and they wouldn't stop knocking on the door, and she was kind of scared because she's a younger lady and she's home alone, and it's these big dudes, and they're just in plain clothes. So finally, they just wouldn't go away. So she like peeked out the window and she saw that, they had badges. And then she was kind of freaked out. So she opened the front door, and luckily I have like a gate, and I always recommend you guys have an accessory gate. So if you open a door, you still got like a screen to protect you from whoever's outside, whether it's the cops or anyone else. And, then they said, we've had some complaints that, you're growing weed. We got some complaints from some neighbors. And then they just, and then she answers the door. Get this, in my hoodie here, and this is my hoodie. I got it free at a hydroponic show, and it says Grow GH, and that's GeneralHydro.com. And it's quite unfortunate that police and many people equate growing hydroponically with growing weed or medicinal herbs like that, because there are other applications actually, to grow vegetables, grow high quality vegetables at that. And she finally answers the door in a GH shirt, and then they're like thinking in their brains, haha, she's got something to hide. She didn't answer the door, and she's wearing a hydro shirt or hydro hoodie. She must be really into it, man. And so then what happens is somehow, and I don't exactly know how this happened, and this is why I'm making this video, to let you guys know of your rights. Because, here in the US, we have the Constitution and we have the Bill of Rights. And we have certain rights, as citizens of the USA, that, we have the freedom of speech. We have, the right to bear arms. We have the right to, no illegal search and seizure, and a whole bunch of other ones that I forget. But those are the most important ones, in my opinion. So, then what happens was she saw one cop come to the other cop with a bunch of stack of papers. And what was that, a warrant or something? And like it's something official and stuff. And somehow she doesn't really know how it happened, but cops have their ways of getting in the door, because that's their job, and they'll use any tactics they deem necessary, including telling fibs, telling lies, to get in to basically do their job. And I don't fault any police officer or cops for doing their job, because that's what they're hired for, that's what they're doing, and I appreciate them in their work when they legitimately have people that are committing crimes. Now when they're badgering people that are, honest people, that's not cool, and they need to be doing something else with their lives. So anyways, let's continue with the story. So then somehow they end up getting in the house, and then they were saying, do you guys grow weed, or is there weed growing here and stuff like that? And then, she'd say, no, we eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, we grow our own. And then they were questioning about in the living room area, there's actually lots of cases of fruits, because I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and besides growing my vegetables, I don't really have too many fruit trees, so I buy a lot of fruit, and there's cases of fruit. And to the average person, you walk into my house, it might look very odd until you get to know me, and that I really do eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, more than the average person. And then they're like, do you sell this stuff and all this, I don't know, all this crazy stuff? And they're just, I don't know what they're thinking, because they're just thinking they're gonna do a drug bust, and people that are into drugs are, I don't know, crazy or something. And then they look down the hall, and then that's when what you guys saw in the last couple episodes actually is where I plant my tree collards. And in the bathroom window, there's a little window, and at night, because my lights come on at night, you see the little shining purple lights out of it. And in general, those little grow lights, the LED lights that I have, are used for growing medicinal herbs in many cases, but people also use them to grow vegetables legally. And so then they saw down the hall that the lights were on, and they were like, I think we found what we were looking for. And they started running down the hall, and my friend who's staying with me ran in front of them. She said, we eat lots of fruits and vegetables, and these are just some vegetables growing. And then sure enough, they go down there, and guess what? There was no weed to be found. I'm not growing any medicinal herb or anything like that. It's just vegetables. It's my tree collards, man. They don't understand the tree collards are very valuable plants. I don't know if they're as valuable as some medicinal herbs on the street, but to me, the tree collards are very valuable because they're a plant that'll actually grow in Vegas 365 days a year. I mean, even in 100 and triple digit weather in the hundreds in the freezing winters, and continue to put out leaves for you to eat. I mean, what other crop can you grow in Vegas that's like that? I mean, there's not too many that could survive the extreme sun and the extreme cold. So anyways, then after that, they're kind of let down. Then they started questioning her about some other things and stuff. And, I just wasn't too happy to hear about all this, because if I was home, it probably definitely would have been handled a little bit differently. So in any case, they ended up going their way. They didn't find what they were looking for. And, she explained that she was a young lady and she was scared of answering the door, and she was just doing laundry, and wasn't even her shirt. And they didn't find anything, and then they basically just went on their way. So then after that, what happened was, after they didn't find anything in the bathroom, what happened was they actually, she's like, oh, well, look at our garden in the backyard, and they didn't really seem too interested in learning about the backyard garden, because she's like, yeah, we grow a lot of food. And then they're like, what do you do with that food? Do you sell it? Because what, selling your own food that you grow, is that illegal too? Probably. I mean, at this point, they probably just want to pin something, because, I mean, they're in the house, they totally screwed up, and now they're looking bad, they lost face, and they want to just get you on something, right? And they didn't find anything. And she says, no, we eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and we grow our own food. And, I mean, so I think it's sad that, the world has come to this where, the police that are trying to do good for society and follow the laws are in some ways not following the laws, because they will lie and do what they need to do to get in your house to see what they're not supposed to see or whatever. And she felt compelled to let them in because she wanted to prove that we don't have anything, illegal here, which, I mean, I'm just growing food, and I grow no medicinal herb or anything like that. But I guess, it is kind of weird that, who would use some $200 grow lights to grow some vegetables? I mean, they just don't understand how really important it is to, eat high quality food, because, obviously by the sizes of some of them, because she was telling me some of them were like overweight and probably ate too many donuts, something like that, or fast food and stuff. And, I encourage everybody, whether they're a police officer or not, to eat a healthy diet rich in fruits and vegetables and minimize the processed foods. And I know they're probably quite busy with their jobs and maybe don't have long breaks, and they just go through the drive-thru a lot of the time. But nonetheless, it's really important to me, the quality of the food I eat, because the quality of the food I eat is me. And, the other thing is that, for many of you guys that don't know, is I almost lost my life when I was younger. In my 20s, I was hospitalized with spinal meningitis, and the doctors told me I might not make it out alive. And then basically after I got out of that situation, one of the things I discovered was that, the reason why I ended up in the hospital, because of the food I ate. The food I ate, being the processed food, being the junk food, really depressed my immune system. I got sick, and I might not make it out of there. So, people don't understand how powerful the food is. I mean, what you put into your body is what you become. And I want to put the best stuff into my body. And I truly think that, by buying some grow lights, or buying the rock dust minerals, even if they're hard to find, by buying high quality compost and buying the beneficial microbes and putting them in your soil, you're going to have the best food on earth. And you can't put a price on that, because you cannot put a price on your health. And I don't know, it's probably like weird, because just most people do not do this, and they're just kind of freaked out with the, how different the house was, with a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables in a garden and a grow room in the bathroom, growing vegetables to eat and plant out, so I could continue to eat more food and spread some of these rare and unique varieties out to people. Another thing I just want to touch on real quick is that, there was 5 guys that came into my house with my friend that's living with me while she was here alone. And so I don't know what the hell they were pawing through. And, that I just don't think that's right. She couldn't keep tabs on each and every one and what they're all doing, but they're probably just like going through all my stuff. I mean, I just don't think that's right. I mean, I kind of feel like violated. Not that I was like raped or anything, but, I don't know. It just shouldn't have happened like that. So what I'm going to do now is actually just share some tips with you that I've learned. And, once again, I'm not a medical doctor. I don't play one on TV. I'm, not a lawyer or anything like that. So, take this with a grain of salt. But basically, what you want to do if you have any challenges with the police officers, whether they're wanting to search your car or come in your home. I mean, your home has like the highest level of protection under the Bill of Rights. And, there's laws for a reason. And, I'm glad to be an American that there are these rights, because unfortunately in some countries around the world, you don't have any rights. And so I want you guys as Americans to exercise your rights, because if you do not exercise your rights, they'll be taken from you. If the cops come to you and say, hey, can we look around? And you say yes, guess what? You've just consented. And when you consented and then they find something wrong, then you're going to have to deal with the consequences. But even if you're, innocent, like in this situation, I was not growing any illegal drugs, I'm not going to consent, because I'm exerting my rights, because that's my right as a citizen, regardless if I'm, in the wrong or not. So the one thing you need to say to police officers when they say, hey, can we come in, and just let them know, I do not consent to any searches, whether they want to search your house, search your car, search your body. Now, in some cases, they can legally search you, but let them know that you do not consent to any searches. In addition, if I was here, I would have my camera on this whole time, and you guys would really get a good episode out of it, actually, to show what can happen. Another thing that you want to remember is, once you do open the door and start talking to them, you want to step outside. You do not want to leave the door open. You do not want to let them come in. You want to step outside and talk to them. Or, I have that gate on my front door. I'm just going to leave that gate closed and have my door open so I could still see them and talk to them, but not invite them in by any means, because I just don't want unknown people going through my house. I don't care if they're the police. I don't care if they're the president. I just don't want people I don't know going through my house. If I want to invite you in, that's my thing. It's like vampires. I think there was like movies where they say, don't invite a vampire into your door, because then, then he's got free reign or some shit. Yeah, don't invite the police in your house. Even if you don't have anything to hide, just because we got to keep our rights, man. And they, every day, it happens to thousands of people a day that, people give their consent, and they're not exerting their rights as an American. And that just kind of bothers me. So the next question is, once you do open the door, ask them, talk to them, and then they ask to search, say, I do not consent to any searches. And then once you're talking to them, you have no obligation to continue to be questioned and harangued by the police if they don't have any probable cause or whatever like that. So you could ask them, am I being detained? Am I free to go? And that lets them know, you're not accepting their questioning, and you don't want to be here, because I got better things to do. I got to edit video for you guys and put up a video every couple days. I can't be sitting there wasting my time with the police officers when I have nothing to hide and I'm not doing anything wrong. So just ask them that question, and hopefully they'll let you go. Sometimes they may not, and then if you're not free to go, then that means they're probably arresting you, which then you got some further issues. And despite using these techniques or not, they still might give you a hassle. So it's very good to, I'd say, take video of what's going on, so that in case later you need to prove something that's what happened, you can, or at least minimally take detailed notes and have witnesses of what's going on if your rights are being violated. Finally, another thing you can do is, if they're asking you a lot of questions and you don't want to answer them, and you don't have to answer any questions that the police, give you, you could just simply say, I have nothing to say until I speak with my lawyers. Because, we are all, allowed a lawyer, because we can't, we can't self-incriminate ourselves. These are things that we all learned in grade school, but a lot of us have probably since forgotten. And only does it come up to the forefront when there's a situation like this. And I'm glad this situation came up with me so that I could share with you, to let you guys know these little 3 tips. I do not consent to any searches. Am I being detained? Am I free to go? I have nothing to say until I speak to my lawyers. That way, hopefully you could get some of the heat off you, and the police will know that, you know your rights. And that's all this video is about, is that I want you guys to know your rights, especially when, in the future, growing food, according to some people, if you're a, conspiracy theory person, thinks it could become illegal, and, food may be, illegal to grow one of these days. And it certainly is in some cities and towns that pass ordinances that you can't grow food in your front yard. But, and if that happens to you, I definitely say you should move and live somewhere else where you can grow food, because I just don't think it's right. You should also work to get laws changed in your cities, and many cities have been changing laws. I mean, I did an episode down in Santa Monica where they actively promote people to grow food in their lawns, because in my opinion, lawns are just a waste of space. So, you know, hopefully after watching this video, you'll learn from what happened to me and turn around. If you do have expensive grow lights, whether you're growing medicinal herb or just tree collards like I am, you know, make it so people can't see from the outside. I mean, if I was growing medicinal herbs and stuff, I mean, I could get some fans, I could get high-powered charcoal filters. There's a whole bunch of different things you could do to keep people out of your business if you don't want them there. And, you know, I just, you know, and this whole thing is about exerting your rights and, you know, having the freedom to do what you want to do. Of course, I do not actively encourage anybody to do anything illegal. All the tips and techniques, of course, I show in all my videos to show you guys how to grow your own food. You could use on any crop, whether it's medicinal herbs, you know, edibles, non-edibles, perennials, annuals, I mean, whatever it is, all the techniques of using the microbes, the beneficial fungi, and, you know, compost and rock dust, they'll work on any plants. And I always encourage you guys to enrich the soil wherever you live, because I mean, that's what it is really all about. It's about enriching the soil to hopefully enrich the plants, to hopefully enrich the people that are eating the plants, so that the world will be a brighter place, one person at a time. So, you know, I'm kind of down about this, but, you know, after this video, I'm just going to just get it out of me and, you know, give this as a learning lesson to you guys to, you know, hopefully you guys don't get accosted or, you know, searched, you know, like I did at my house here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, learning more about this stuff here today, and I'll have a new episode for you in a couple days about how to grow more food at home. Once again, my name is John Koler with GrowingYourGreens.com. We'll see you next time, and remember, keep on